And back we are to SPQR, and oh look, it's the Beneventum map again, but not Beneventum. Alright, this is the Battle of Castulo. This is in Spain. We're still with the Scipio brothers, Publius and Gnaeus, and they've split their forces. They've split their army. They have a numerical superiority over the Carthaginians, and this is the key battle. Publius is heading out, and somehow the Carthaginians have gotten word of the fact that the Roman army is split and have managed to concentrate all their forces against him. Right now, Publius is facing a small contingent of Spanish allies here. However, that's the rest of the Carthaginian army coming in. Now, unlike most games of this, of SPQR, or even in the great battles of history that I've seen, each army has its own little route number. So the Romans have one army, but there are 4 different Carthaginian armies. The one that's initially on the map, because this actually more or less was breaking and fled the field as the other armies started coming in and had the Romans surrounded. Simple little mechanism to provide for the ability for the Carthaginians to break piecemeal and give the Romans a chance. Because if that entire Carthaginian army had to be broken, well, then even these guys would be staying on the board. And what you're going to see is a pulsing of first these Iberians, then some Numidian cav coming in to harass the Romans, and then 2 big main Carthaginian armies with their own cav, with their elephants, etc. Actually, 2 small Carthaginian armies, because really, this is a minor, this is a fairly small number of armies present. Now let's look at some of the special rules on this. First one is, that's not a Roman fort, that's all forest. Making it mainly off the map, especially since the Romans want to destroy these Iberians. And the Iberians are probably going to fall back into the woods as quickly as they can. The tribunes for the Romans operate under 4.46 proconsuls, which means that I'm not sure what it means, because these older books are working off the first edition rules, which seem to have had stricter restrictions on the commands. So I'm going to have to kind of play it by ear there, but they're going to we can take a look and see what the proconsuls rule provides for them. I think they're allowed their own they get a bonus for getting line commands, and they can replace the overall commander. Okay, they're not as big a bonus as they probably were in this scenario, but the Romans need the chance to be able to send forces in different directions. What else? The Numidian cav leader is allowed to automatically give line commands. He never has to roll. Now, he's his own army commander, so in a sense he almost has that ability anyway. I don't have one of the leaders, which apparently should have been in the original SPQR. I can't find Mago Barca. I'm using, I think, a Hasdrubal or something for it and kind of faking it. It should be about right. I don't have the exact numbers, but that should cover that. Some errata, which I don't have to worry about, but let's see. Retreat edges. Each of the Carthaginian armies has its own retreat edge based on where it comes in. There's some leadership rules for the Carthaginians for becoming, new overall commanders. I haven't seen a lot of leader deaths in this, although actually Publius was killed in this battle. Some special rules here. Okay, there's the Roman army and the Iberian detachment are able to kind of operate as columns because they're not deployed yet. So they're able to operate as a line in a clump until they actually deploy or get within a certain range. Cavalry pursuit is not used. Okay, the army route. For the Romans, it's... okay. For the Romans, it's 120 tactical quality points. For the Carthaginians, it's 34 for the Iberians, 28 for the Numidians, and Mago's 40 and Hasdrubal is 38. So the victory conditions for the Romans are to rout the two prime Carthaginian armies, Mago and Hasdrubal, and at least one of the two detachments, either the Numidians or the Iberians. Alternatively, however, they can win by exiting 165 tactical quality points from the east edge, 2244 to 3540. Okay, so if they can get through, essentially, they've passed the gauntlet and escaped this trap and can conceivably get together again with Gnaeus. And Carthage wins by routing the Roman army before that happens. And that's about it. We'll see how this goes. The Carthaginian forces come in at a fixed schedule, so there's no luck here in terms of when they're going to show up, nor where. There's no hidden placement here. The Numidians are coming in on turn 3, and the two big armies on turns 5 and 6. We'll see them come in. Alright, well, we'll get it started and see what happens. So we've got the Roman column marching forward. This is the end of the first turn. I'll mark that off. I've got to keep track of the turns in this game because that does actually influence when things are coming in. Remember, turn 3, the Numidians start coming in. So not a lot of time before more forces are here. The Iberian lights are quickly stretching out. One thought was, hey, why don't I pull back in the woods? Well, there's no real defensive advantage to the woods. There's just the attacker pushes into the woods and gets disordered by it. However, by pulling back to the woods, it would allow the Romans to just march through without being hindered at all. And if you allow the Romans that, well, they win. They can walk off the map. So that's going to be one of the key things is the Iberians have to prevent, and the Numidians have to prevent the Romans from breaking through and just marching out of here. If they manage that, they win. Just as a little oddness, there's some Iberian or Spanish or whatever troops in the back of the Roman formation. Those are Roman allies. A couple of little things here. The scenario suggests using medium infantry Celts for this. I think they were lacking at the time that this was made some of the advanced units that have been added. So I wanted to match the Iberians to approximately the same. That may be a mistake. That may actually be on one side or the other providing an advantage. I'm not sure which, because these are actually less, these are the same tactical quality as the Celts would be. However, they're lighter troops, more skirmishers. I don't know if that was a fair substitution, but I wanted to do it that way because I think it's more legitimate than what was actually offered. It may have been medium quality, the medium infantry from the Iberians, though, in which case I made a mistake by judging it that way. I still think that this is more apt, though. Alright, well, that's the end of the first turn. And both sides rush forward. The Romans, only half their army moved forward. They had a little bit of command problems here. And likewise, actually, the Carthaginians, too. They actually got a die roll of doom, which gave Scipio an extra activation. The light Iberians did not want to actually engage, so they just moved forward and threw some javelins and took the same. They're going to force the Romans to make the attack. Unlike medium infantry, light infantry has no advantage to actually engage these legionaries, but they do want to push the front line forward as much as possible. if they can get an advantage out of it. And right now it looked like they could. Unfortunately, they've left a flank open. They were hoping to cover that. Actually, both flanks with some of the units in the rear, some of the cav. Didn't happen. And now it could well be a bad sign for them. Maybe they should have stayed back in the kind of rougher terrain that they were on the line of. Not exactly that this is rough, but that there's some rough terrain to anchor them on both sides. There's not where they are, and the cav will have an easy time to get at them if it wants to. Well, the Romans, even with the command disadvantage of having Scipio back here, have made some inroads. A couple of the heavies smacked into some of those lights and drove them off, and then the two cav wings have hit in. That divided position is probably, on both sides, is probably overall in the Romans' favor, just because they have the stronger force overall, so they can wipe this out in detail and then move forward. And it does actually keep them kind of with a reserve for when those extra units come on. Now, obviously, if they could just punch through, that would be great, but that's not the position they're in. We're going to see the Numidians come on very soon. The only problem with that is the cav's already been expended for the Romans, and I think the Numidians, we've seen what they can do before, so they're kind of scary. Well, the Romans managed to activate just about everything. They sent some more forces through the center. The Carthaginian leader back here was able, and I don't remember his name, he's some Spanish guy, he's not the guy on the counter, was able to rally some of the troops. Got one down there, another one was destroyed by being popped in zones of control. But then he got the die roll of doom. And that's kind of a weird situation because it prevented Publius from moving forward. And he would have liked a shot at doing so. But it also prevented the Numidians from coming on this turn. Probably mixed blessings for the Romans. I think overall they're probably to the advantage. The longer they can just fight the Iberians, the better off they are. And I'll load this one up and come back next run, hopefully. We'll start seeing something to challenge the Romans on the board.